Today is the day we're going to do a full porch overhaul. We're going to power wash our furniture and repaint it. We're going to wash the walls. See these dirty spots here? We're going to replace the blades of the ceiling fan. We're going to replace our lights. They're just so tiny for this door that we decided we just need to replace them. We'll also replace the ceiling light, and we will power wash the floor and restain it and repaint the chairs. Here's the lights and the ceiling fan blades. So we have a lot of work to do, so let's get at it. The first thing that needed to be done was to empty the porch. So we took everything off of the porch and put it in the front yard. Then we started power washing. We had to kind of get the groove going. At first it was like, this isn't doing anything, but as you can see here, it was working great. Mark did that half of the porch, and of course I supported him while I drank my coffee. But don't worry, I did the other side of the porch, and now we just need to wait for it to dry. Now I also power washed the trim on the door because I knew that there was a lot of loose flex, but boy was I surprised how much came off. Of course, then it was all over the deck and I had to rewash parts of that, so I should have done that first. I needed a paint that would match this siding, and so I cut some paint chips and kind of set them up there, and I knew I needed one in between those two. We did not wash all the spokes because they looked great. We did do the handrail, and I know there's still some dark marks and stuff on this porch, but it is 19 years old, so it looks pretty good for that. The next event, while the porch was drying, was to change out lights. Mark is great at this, and as you can see, the new ones make a huge difference. They look so much nicer, and while he was hanging lights, I decided to go ahead and start sanding down that chippy, awful furniture. So I was just going to have to pretty much do it by hand because I had to go in between the spokes and around the curvatures on the legs and whatever. So that's what I did. And as you can see, there were more and more chips coming off. I had to kind of close up because I needed to watch the kids. But as you can see, we did get the porch stained. But because it was going to rain that night, we had to put all of the furniture back on the deck. So even though there were a couple little wet spots, it had set longer than the time recommended. We went ahead though and put down some plastic to set the furniture on. The side that the table went on was dry enough to just go ahead and place the table over there. So that was helpful. Now, let's see what happened on day 2. This was the top of the ceiling fan. This was what it looked like. It was so gross, but they had been there for 14, 15 years. So I cleaned them, and then Mark replaced the blades, and that was a little tricky. We had to drill the holes and make sure they fit. Now you can see the difference in the blades here, but let me remind you what it looked like before they were cleaned and now after. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Now to paint the furniture. I used a sprayer that connects to our air compressor to paint these, and it took me a bit to get it really working right. So that took a lot of time that I wasn't planning on giving, but it made all the difference when I was spraying those chairs with all the spindles and the curvy legs and all of that stuff. Now I have this table that was sitting behind my rocking chair, and it had a veneer top on it, and the veneer was cracking and lifting off, so I decided to just pull it off. Unfortunately, it wasn't all ready to come off, so Mark, bless his heart, sat and chiseled the rest of it off while I was spray painting furniture. We thought we would just put a new board on top of it, but I really liked the way it looked, so I just went ahead and finished it with some paste wax for furniture, and I really like the way it came out. I just rubbed the wax on with a big wax brush and make sure I get in any dents and hollow places, and make sure to get the outside edges. And then after I got it all on there, I just wiped it all off with a lint-free rag. And I love the way it came out. And then we're on to day 3. Day 3 was in the afternoon only because we had church that morning, and then Mark had a meeting after church, so we had a late lunch, so I got a late start. But this door needed to be sanded and painted. It wasn't too bad sanding this part of the door because I could use my electric sander, and it came off pretty easily, but you can tell most of the paint is coming off. The problem was when I had these little inset areas that the sander did not fit in. So I had to scrape it first, and that included all across the top. At least my knife did fit in there just perfectly, so that was at least a blessing there. And all the way across, the paint just kept falling off. After I scraped it, then it needed to be sanded. And again, the sander did not fit in there, so that was all done by hand as well. And of course, when you're sanding, that makes a huge mess. So before I could paint, this mess needed to be cleaned up. I got my little vacuum and just went for it. I tried not to step in it so that I wouldn't press footprints onto our new floor. Then I saw that there was some overspray from doing the deck, even though I had put up some cardboard to hide it. This needed to be cleaned before I painted because I didn't want to do it after I painted and chance messing up the paint job. So I quickly realized I was going to need something other than just a rag and soapy water. So I got out a Mr. Clean magic eraser, and man, did that do the trick. It left a little residue in the texture of the vinyl, but the brush cleaned that out and it was no big deal. So this is the other side that was not clean yet compared to the side that was clean. It made a huge difference. So now the plastic goes down over the clean surface and the painting begins. And it too was very tedious. I had small areas with something on each side that I needed to not get paint on. And it was a very awkward position to paint in. Finally, I had just a flat front surface. I was so happy to paint that. But all in all, it turned out wonderfully. Now let me remind you what it looked like before I started, after the power washing. And look how nicely that paint matches the siding. It's like they're all the same color. Instead of using a bright white paint or a pure white, I tried to match the siding so that it would all blend well together. Now I have to tell you that this was a job that when I started, I was so excited. And by day 2, I thought, what have I done?
You can see that everything just got shoved into the front foyer as we were working on things, and I would pull things out, push things in. Things got laid and stored on tables in the family room as well as the kitchen counter. It was a crazy 3 days, but oh my goodness, it was so worth it.
Okay, let's step out on my clean porch. I moved some tables around. We had an old rocker that sat there, but it was falling apart and not safe to sit on. So I put this table here, and I think I'm going to make a cushion for it so that it could be sat on as well. It's very sturdy. This is my nice white, not chippy paint chairs. I'm so excited about that. They look great with the spray painter that I used. And the deck floor, it actually matches the tabletop. I have a grease spot here I'm going to have to work on. This was actually at the other end by the grill. We might have to just turn the table around. And the nice clean white doors. Don't know how long they'll stay that way, but they're there now. And our rocking chairs. This looks a little antisocial, but Mark and I eat breakfast out here every morning, and we set our coffee or drink whatever on the table, and we just sit and talk with each other, and I love it. Now, this table was in front of this accordion door. I like it so much that I want to be able to see it, so I put it here, because when it's back there, I couldn't see it, because this is my rocking chair. And yes, the blanket is necessary in the mornings. It's really chilly at 6:15 out here. And the fans are going, and they're clean, and that's so nice. And we have new lights. I love them. And a new light up here as well. I had hoped that I would be able to decorate the porch as well in this video, but that's gonna have to be another video, which I'm really excited about because I have some really fun things I wanna do just to cozy it up a little bit. I don't wanna overdo, but I wanna add a little bit of country charm, coziness. So I will put that video up in probably a couple weeks because a couple of the projects are gonna take a little time. So come back and see the porch all decorated. I am so glad you came along. If you're new here, I have lots of videos on homemaking, cooking, canning, gardening, all kinds of things that I love to do around our 1.5 acre farm. And we would love to have you be a part of our YouTube family. So please subscribe, share, thumbs up, all the good stuff. And until next time, blessings on you and yours.